I got my Thunderbolt lock kit. These are deadbolt locks that are going to be installed on the side doors of the van and on the rear doors. So the actuator here gets mounted inside the door, and then it has a cable that attaches to the deadbolt that I just showed you, and this is all controlled from the fob, the factory key fob for the vehicle. So I've got the guts of the passenger side kick panel pulled out. We've got a wire harness here, and that goes through the door boot and then up into the lock mechanism. So you need to figure out which wires work when you hit the remote to lock and unlock the doors. And those are the ones that you're going to tap into with the Thunderbolt kit so that you can control everything with the key fob. And this is where you're going to tap into for the Thunderbolt locks. There's a gray wire on this side, that's your lock, and then that's the blue wire, and then you have a tan wire on the other side right here. That's going to tap into for your unlock. There's also this little clip that actually holds this whole wiring harness to the frame of the van, and that slides in back here. And the best way to get that out is to put a little screwdriver up underneath in the back there. So you come in with the screwdriver like this and you pry it. I tore the footwell out of here. This is it right here, because I want to run the wire for the locking system. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips that I just hook into the little plastic pieces on the bottom of this thing, so you can pop it out fairly easily. It's stuck in there pretty good, but it pops out easily once you get it going. So I want to run this cable here from this connector, which operates the locks. Put a little edge protector on there. That's a sharp edge. I'm going to run it down in here so that it can go to the back, because the lock's going to be in this door and in the back door. I'm hoping everything fits on. I've got the wire all laid in there. I'm going to go ahead and put the plastic footwell back in. Got the footwell back in, wire's running back and comes out back here. So then these wires are the wires that I'm going to use to power the door locks. We're going to have to put some contact plates, put a contact plate here, and then a contact switch over on this side, so that when the door makes contact, these push in so the door makes contact when it's closed, because there's no wire boot or anything on this door to run wires through. So we'll just use this contact. It's got contact plates as well that just hook in, and that'll provide power to the lock when the door is closed. So when I hit the key fob, it will lock and unlock the door with a deadbolt that'll be placed kind of right about here. So I've come under the footstep, and I've got some loom run up around here. Now I've drilled some holes in the door, and we've got wires coming through here. These are going to be for the contact panel. This right here is going to be part of the contact switch, and then over on the other side you can see There's a couple of holes there. Unfortunately, the way this door works, this contact switch is too long. So I'm going to have to mount it inside the door so that it shortens up the contact switches a little bit here, so that when they swing in, they're going to make contact without knocking into the door there. We've got the contact plate mounted right here, and we got the wires going up here, and they're going to continue to the back of the van, to the back doors. But right now we have power at the contacts, and then I've got some holes drilled here because I've got a little workaround for the contact pins. These guys I think are supposed to be mounted exterior like this, but if I mount them exterior, then they're too long and they don't contact, they hit here and then they would bend. So I had to drill some holes, and I fabricated some plates that I'm going to put, they're kind of spacer plates that I'm going to put in so I get the right size. I'll show you how it all goes together. I cut a couple plates out of some spare aluminum that I had sitting around. I think it's probably 1/8 inch, but I'm going to stack a couple plates. When it's all together, they'll act as spacer plates so that these guys aren't sticking out as far, and they'll make contact without bending. I've got both sides of the contact switch mounted up. The plates are already wired. Kind of back through here, got the Wago connectors, and then that's going to continue to the back door lock. And then these come down to the contact plates, and then the actual contact posts here. Looks like they make good contact, and they've got about 1/4 of an inch throw. You can see the movement there. Looks like they make good contact. So I'm going to wire this up and hopefully get the lock in here. Front doors wired up with the Wago 3-way connectors to connect to the back of the van, where we're going to install another Thunderbolt lock just right down below the black handle. And we ran the wires back here so we could have another contact plate and another contact switch. Those are all working good. I've got a good signal through those, and I should be able to mount the locks and have them work properly. A little bit of fabrication to get it through the door here, and also back here, just drilling through some metal and whatnot. But also, just a word to the wise, when you're working with these wires, testing to see if the locks work or not. Don't let them touch each other or ground out, because you'll fry your fuse. Don't ask me how I know. I'm going to install the deadbolt today for the Thunderbolt locks, and I have a couple of holes already drilled. This is a backing plate for the actual deadbolt, and I just taped it up in there and drilled from this side to then be able to get over to this side, and then just kind of got that little box drawn and got a center part punch in the middle, and we're going to use a step bit to drill it out. Deadbolt's mounted up, but of course we've got some clearance issues here. So the deadbolt here just barely makes contact with the jamb of the door here. So there's supposed to be a contact plate that mounts on the outside, but I think I can mount it on the inside so it'll still reinforce. This is 1/8 inch aluminum, so it should be pretty strong if the deadbolt just went into that, but I could rivet a strike plate in This worked out pretty clean. It's just held in place right now by these self-tapping screws, so I can mark the location for the next hole. See how that works out. Because of clearance issues, I've decided to mount this deadbolt internal, and they supplied some bolts with some lock washers on them. I think that'll work all right. And then I'm going to mount this plate external. They've got some rivets that go in there that I'm going to use. These are just some screws to hold it in place, and actually the clearance works with these, but we'll put the rivets in. I think I'm going to mount this external because I made a big ugly hole. I'm going to cover it up so it looks all pretty. Everything seems to be working as it should. That all riveted in place. Now to install the actual locking mechanism, all the cables, and then wire it up to my contact switch and put some insulation in the door. Quick mock-up of how everything's going to look. Wires from the contact switch, going to come down to the control unit, wires down here. Then we've got the cable for the deadbolt. That's gonna route like this, so it's smooth operation. And then we've got the emergency release down here. Created a little bracket out of aluminum angle that I'm going to rivet into the side, and then that way I'll just have to lift a corner and I can activate the lock or unlock it if anything ever happens, if I lose my fob or etc., etc. It's just kind of a backup safety feature. Okay, I riveted that angle in here, and that's where this emergency release is going to mount to. Now I'm starting with the foam insulation before I install everything in the door. So I've got all the holes and everything cut out and everything where it needs to go, but I'm going to put the insulation in, then I'm going to install the lock mechanism. But you can see there's this little groove right here, and I got this cool tool off of the A store that cuts grooves. This is it right here. It has a plate, then adjustable wires that you can adjust to cut the grooves that you need. So this is where it's going to fit all around the door. Works pretty good. Alright, so I might have cut this one a little bit too big, but that's kind of how it works. I wanted to make sure I had enough room because there's going to be some wires coming off of here. And then I'll cut a channel for the wires that'll go down to the control box, which I'm going to cut a hole for as well. But that's kind of the idea, is any of these little door mechanisms and anything else that sticks out like that, I'm just going to use that groover and cut little grooves. It also has this knife attachment. It actually comes with a whole kit with a bunch of tools and stuff, and it's pretty cool. But this will allow you to just cut straight lines. So you cut little chunkers out with it. I actually think I got it too hot, so it got a little melty. So for the plate attachment, you need to have it pretty hot, but for the blade attachment, you don't need to have it quite as hot. Otherwise, it'll give you kind of a little melty, not really straight edge. Starting to go together okay. Made some cuts. I had to cut the panels in a couple pieces so that they all fit in the grooves nicely. This is going to be the more challenging part with all the locking mechanisms and the door hardware. Got everything fit in there right now. And now I'm going to put the control box on and trace some lines so that we can connect the door hardware and the lock hardware. All the door hardware, cables, wires, control module all lined out. All right, everything is in. I didn't wire it up yet or glue anything in. This is the final test fit. Of course, put everything together just to take it apart again. But everything seemed to work out all right. So we've got the lock, and then down here is the emergency release. So when you go up here to lock, throws the bolt. So that all works smoothly. And actually this whole system here is a lot nicer because all of these had a lot of play in them and they would just rattle when you drove, and now with this foam everything's a lot quieter. So there you have it. Thunderbolt lock installed, door number 1, and we'll be doing the back doors next. Okay, we're going to do a little pre-glue test. Looks like it works good. Bam. Bam. Hell yeah. Good stuff. Back doors next. Got the back door deadbolt bolted up. Could mount this one exterior because we had good clearance. And also got the strike plate mounted up. And everything works as it should. Now I just need to install the insulation and wire it up. I've got the locking mechanism in the back door temped up. Everything's all screwed in and hooked up and is working properly. Got the escape latch up there. And now I'm working on the second back door. Last door's done. I think I'm finally figuring out how to use the foam groover. Just finished up the install of the Thunderbolt locks on my 2022 Chevy Express 3500 Cutaway. It's got a Rockport 12-foot box on it, and I'm converting it to an RV. I chose the Thunderbolt lock system because from Rockport, they just put these basic locks on there and you can't control them with your key fob. But after installing the Thunderbolt system, then you can control all the locks front of the van and back of the van with your key fob, which is pretty cool. Just wired up through the kick panel here. There's a wiring harness on the passenger side that I tapped into, found the right circuits with my circuit tester, then ran the wire under the step plate here and to the back. And the back, I had to use these contact plates and contact switches to be able to wire up the entire system because there's no door boot on these. So in a factory vehicle, you've got a door boot like this guy here that all of your wires run through, but on the box there's nothing like that. So you have to use these contact switches to be able to pull that off. And when the contact switch makes contact and you hit the key fob, that will actually activate the lock. I'll show you here. So we've got contact, and now the deadbolt throws, and you hit unlock, and it only works when there's contact to the switch. So that allows there to be current so that you can lock and unlock the deadbolt. Same thing going on the back door. Got the contact switch up there with the contact plate, and they're all wired up in conjunction from the side door, and then again wired to the harness in the front, and everything came out good. It's all insulated up. Probably took me about 16 hours to install the whole system, including insulation. And this is polyiso insulation that is probably about a 7.5 R value. Really good customer support from Thunderbolt. Jim and John were very responsive. If they didn't answer right away, they would call me right back. So overall, I would recommend the product. I think it's great because now we've got these beefy deadbolts that I can lock with the factory key fob. So that's pretty cool. The whole van locks up now when I hit the factory key fob, and that gives me a lot of peace of mind.